Richie Rich, Vaults of Mystery. This is bringing back some memories. And you know what? We need to order some of these classy crashers. Smash them up. You remember these things?
I had those, believe it or not. I had those. I think we need to order some sea monkeys.
Sea monkeys? Those things smell.
Smell? Well, you know what I was thinking? They can't smell as bad as Yoda does.
Oh.
Think about this. He lives out in a swamp in a little mud hut, and you didn't see any shower room or latrine or anything, did you?
Right. I know. And when Luke came in there, you know, they obviously kept that off camera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Luke comes in and, you know, Yoda makes him some stew and he smells it and he's like, oh, was it the stew that smelled or was it Yoda?
Yeah, I know.
You know what
Yoda's got a little Y-O.
Yeah, a little Y-O, that's right.
Yoda odor. Yoda. So he's like, ooh, did a cow banta poo-poo in here?
I don't know. And how many, you know, changes of clothes does he have?
He's got like a Monday through Friday burlap moo-moo that does he just toss it out when he's done?
I don't know.
I mean, does he even wear underwear? We haven't even talked about that. I hope he's changing them on a regular basis.
I don't know.
Does he use a little rock underneath the pits?
Oh, he probably uses Jedi secret, right? You know what I mean? For man strong enough, Yoda, it made for though.
Or he's like, are you sure? You know, like, wait a minute, we're on.
Again? Hello, everybody. This is Dane.
And this is JR.
And we are
the Cult Lords.
We're coming to you from the Cult Mobile Lab at Esperanza Station in Antarctica.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Yes, it is indeed, Dane. We thought with the rise of COVID going on right now, this was the surest place to social distance.
But we don't want our fans to be socially distant from us or our potential new fans. So please, subscribe. There's a button down there to press. You can get us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. But we would love more subscriptions. We're sitting at around, what, 120 right now?
123.
123?
Yes.
We obviously have a tall mountain to climb here. Please, re-gift us to all your friends.
That's
subscribe.
Right. Dane, what's exciting is this is episode 1 of season 2. And we are reviewing Matrix Resurrections this week. That's right. It's going to be over the week. We're going to...
Wait, aren't we in the Matrix right now?
We could be. We could be. I feel it right now. I see the code out there. But we've got some exciting things coming up this season. We're going to be reviewing The Matrix today. We're going to soon be reviewing The Protege. And then on to Mandy. Mandy. So exciting things coming up for season 2. Plus you're going to see a lot more single vignettes, single videos that we're going to be putting out. So stay tuned and subscribe so you can get notified. But today we're going to start our Act 1. And before we discuss some Hollywood news, Dane,
of the Matrix Resurrection,
we need to know, what are we going to be drinking this episode?
So as our faithful viewers have probably noticed, there is a giant gold bottle finally wrapped here. So we are doing, in honor of Kung Fu, we're doing sake. And this particular brand is and if there are any trolls out there, I was a French major, not a Japanese major. So you're going to have to pardon my Japanese, but this is Gekkekain Horin Ultra Premium Junmai de Ginjo Sake. So this is a well-known brand. Gekkekain is a well-known brand in Japan. Horin is their high-end label on there. And what's extra special about this particular sake is that it's made from 2 types of rices. And if anyone is familiar with sake, a lot of times you hear it called the wine of the Japanese world, but in reality it's closer to beer because they use, which doesn't sound very appetizing, a particular type of fungus that then...
There's a fungus among us.
Is a fungus among us. And the fungus actually breaks down the sugars and also does the fermentation. So it's not wine, it's not beer. Beer has, if you've ever made beer before, I've tried this, attempted it myself many times. Beer has a different step process from breaking down the sugars to the actual fermentation side. So we're giving this one a try. It's very tasty. I've tried it in the past, but this is probably about a $37 to like $45 bottle. And if anyone's interested in sake, it's one of those like deep dives into the world of Japanese culture, because sake's been around for, like, some records of it, not maybe in its current form, but 3,000 years ago, but it's been established since like 300 BC. And there's 4 different levels of sake depending on how finely they remove the outer coat of the rice kernel, the specific sake rice. And so there's different, I'm not going to go into all these details, but I mean, it's a really fabulous, go ahead and unwrap the top there for me, JR. But it's a fabulous drink, hard to describe for people that haven't tried it before, and you can either have it hot or cold. Hot, it tends to be more the lower quality sake, where cold is the better sake because it brings out much more of the flavors. And there's an actual specific rating scale where you can go on the fruitier side, like a +5 is fruitier, whereas a -5 is more dry and earth-like flavors. But
this is kind of hard to undo. I feel like a teenager all over again. Okay, there we go.
Just pull the strap over the top.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, sake is a fascinating drink, and especially, and we love what? Sushi!
Sushi, okay. All right.
Slap me some skin, bro. Sushi! Any sushi eaters out there? We could eat it every single day. And so it goes great with sushi, but it's also great with mild whitefish and other milder flavor things. In the ballpark of like melons and fruits. You can use it as some of the sweeter sakes. You can use it as a dessert wine. And then there's another...
Comes with its own cork here.
Yeah, well, that's handy. And there's another type of sake called nigori, where they actually leave what they call the leaves, but they leave some of the rice inside the bottle. And so if you shake it, the bottle gets all cloudy. And it's much more on the sweeter side, but it's kind of on the milky side too, and I do not like it. You might like it.
So Dane,
yes.
One of my best childhood friends, his name is Baku Kobayashi, and he lives in Tokyo, Japan now. He is the general manager of Nobu in Tokyo.
Ooh.
I should give him a call and
ask him to recommend some sake. I have a very good friend that I went to college with. His name is Hasashi David Watanabe.
Hasashi Wati.
And so
David Watanabe.
And I have to credit him. He introduced me to the whole world of Japanese culture. He was in my dorm room down the
When I was a little kid, my friend Baku Kobayashi, I'd go over to his house. There was nobody reading manga. He was reading manga, and he would give me these Ultraman magazines that were in Japanese.
Wasn't Ultraman this guy?
Ultraman, yeah.
Ultraman!
So we would read Ultraman, and he would tell me the differences of all the Ultraman. He would tell me all the differences between the different Godzillas, because there was different Godzillas. And
I didn't know that about different Godzillas. I thought there was just Godzilla.
Well, there's different Godzilla. There's the main Godzilla, then there's other Godzillas.
Okay,
so, love Japanese culture.
I love Japanese culture. Love the food. I mean, I wish never. That's one of my bucket list travel places. Go to Japan.
Me too.
My dad's made it there a number of times. He worked for a company that actually had one of their side headquarters was out there. But I love the food. And,
so let's have some.
Let's have some. So in the traditional Japanese serving of sake, you're not supposed to pour it for yourself. So we're going to do a little switcheroo here. And I'm going to pour for my comrade here. And he is going to pour for me. My comrade.
Okay.
I don't know what it is in Japanese. What's friend in Japanese? You guys can send it to us.
I don't know.
So he's going to pour for me. And then we'll do the traditional Japanese toast.
Very good.
Which you probably know already. The traditional Japanese toast.
Bonsai?
No, Japanese.
Kanpai?
Kanpai.
Kanpai.
Kanpai means cheers, basically, in Japanese. But
I got that from Karate Kid, actually.
So when it's chillier, it's good, right?
Oh, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's a little on the sweeter side. So what's interesting about this sake is because it's two different rices. And so they kind of combined.
White and brown?
It's almost like a hybrid, basically, of sake where it's more on the sweeter side, but then it's also very dry at the same time. So you get, and then if you smell it, you get some good smells. You get some melon and honeydew in there. And
I can say that this smells much better than Yoda's hut. So.
Yes, Luke would have been happy to receive this in the hut, not that stinky stew.
Yeah.
But, the great thing about this, normally sake, beer is usually in the, 8 to 10 range of alcohol. Wine is more in like the 13 to 15 range of alcohol.
I saw this as 16.
Yes, and so sake, because of the way it's made, where the alcohol is in the fermentation process are all done together, it's usually more in the 17 to 19, 16, to 19 range. So you're supposed to traditionally kanpai. You're supposed to traditionally sip it. Usually you'd see those little tiny cups, or sometimes I've actually seen little boxes. Have you ever seen that? Where they put them in a box?
Yeah.
And that's cool.
I've had that with hot sake. But you know what? I want to say sakatumi, baby.
Sakatumi, baby. But, this is, just briefly, the 4 Junmai Shu, Ginjo Shu, Dai Ginjo Shu, and Hanjozo Shu.
Oh,
Those are
Hanzo.
the 4 different levels of types of sake, depending on how they've taken either like 70% of the rice off, or 40%, or they added more alcohol to it. And a lot of people thought if you add more alcohol, it's going to dilute it. But in sake, it actually makes it better. And so,
well, it's pretty good.
It's very good. And how would you
think
describe sake, by the way? If somebody came up to you and said, I've never tried it before, how would you describe it to them?
I would say it's a sweeter. I know it's not a wine, but it tastes like kind of like a drier white wine.
Right. There's an earthy to it. When I look at it is, I think of vodka, because it's no. But hold on a second. Think of vodka, but a thicker vodka, and then take a really watered down fruit juice and put it in there.
Okay.
Right. It's a little.
I tell you what. I think it's good.
Tasty, right?
I think it's good enough for us
I think it's apropos for the movie we're reviewing.
Yes. Yeah. Since we are talking about Keanu Reeves. I think he has a Japanese background, right, to him, right? Or is it Hawaiian?
It's a Hawaiian background.
Okay.
He's definitely of a mixed race background.
Yeah. Well, while we savor this drink, there were a couple of items in Hollywood news in the past weeks that caught my eye, Dane. We're barely into 2022, and we've had a few celebrities that have passed. First, we had Bob Saget.
Yeah.
He just recently passed.
The aristocrat has passed.
Oh, and you know what? Was I a fan of him in Full House? Didn't watch that show.
I knew the show. Yeah.
I didn't watch that show.
Everyone knows that show.
But everybody knew him from America's Funniest Home Videos, right?
Yeah.
But then if you actually watch this guy do stand-up, man, his personality in stand-up compared to the All-American Dad in Full House, completely opposite, right?
He was one of those rare guys that could, from the studio suit system where like, what? He's doing that and we're not going to fire him?
Yeah.
I mean,
very.
He had totally different images and depending on what
very filthy kind of humor out on the yes. Funny though, very funny. And, he's going to be missed. And, he was really good friends with Norm Macdonald, who just recently passed. So, two great ones just gone like that,
I don't know what's happening here.
So, the other person who...
And they haven't figured out what happened, really, with Saget, right?
At the time of this taping, it's still in the air.
Okay.
So, another huge, big legend that passed away, Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
And have you ever seen Sidney Poitier in any of his movies?
No, but on my bucket list is To Sir with Love, I think it's called. To Sir with Love, and then is it the Concrete Jungle? The one where he's the teacher, and the other one is obviously when he's,
In the Heat of the Night.
Oh, In the Heat of the Night. That definitely want to see that
Also, you should watch Look Who's Coming to Dinner.
Oh, that's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Look Who's Coming to Dinner, right? Where he's the mixed couple.
Or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yeah, look who's coming to dinner. But,
that's another movie.
yeah, I'm like mixing up John Travolta's
I was going to
movies.
say, is that Look Who's Coming to Dinner? Is that Travolta? Or
Look Who's
is
Talking.
that Nick Cage?
I don't know. But you know what? Out of all those prestigious movies that he was in, my favorite movie that he was in is Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again with Bill Cosby.
I'm a milkman. You're a factory worker. We don't look like nobody who come up with no $20,000.
We gonna look like we got $1 million. I'm gonna slave from New York, huh?
That's right. Biggie Smalls.
You wanna see me? Yeah, I wanna see you.
About what?
Me and my little slave. I'm from out of New York City. Me and my boys.
And I know Bill Cosby's kind of a pariah right now.
Yep.
But man, when I was growing up in the 70s and watched those, so you know what?
You need to pour me.
If I don't want you to drink anymore, I have to pour for you, right?
That's right. I can't pour my... It's the way it works with sake. You're not supposed to pour your own.
So Let's Do It Again, one of my all-time favorite comedies with Bill Cosby and Jimmy Walker. And it is a hilarious movie. And Sidney Poitier is amazing in this. And he plays Kansas City Mac or something like that.
Three of them were in a movie together.
They were in two. They were so funny. Dane, I've got to show you these movies sometime. They are so funny. You know who Jimmy Walker is?
Yeah.
JJ, the skinny guy? So,
Dynamite!
Hello, lucky person. You got the number right, because you are talking to Kid a Dynamite.
what happens, they decide to run a scheme where Sidney Poitier had served in the military and he learned hypnosis in the military.
Okay.
So what they do is they go down. Jimmy Walker is the worst boxer with the worst record, but he's taking on...
Hey, Jimmy Walker's the boxer?
Yeah, he's
pretty
skinny.
thin.
He is so super skinny. But he's taking on the champ of the world as kind of a warm-up for the champion then to take on somebody else.
Okay.
So what they do is they go in and they hypnotize Jimmy Walker to be like a tiger. And then they go and they lay all this money on Jimmy Walker to win in like, the fight
first round or something
with
like
all these New Orleans gangsters, mobsters. And they're like all taking their money, like thinking it's hilarious. And then Jimmy Walker knocks out the champ. And then everybody's like, something's wrong. So then they find out that there was a fix was in. I'm not going to get into how they get out of this and then do something even bigger of a caper.
Right.
But it's one of the funniest movies. So you got to watch it. Sidney Poitier,
I have never heard of that movie.
we are going to miss you. Yeah.
But I always love, you just said Bill Cosby stuff. Do you
Yeah.
ever have any of his original comemic records?
Yeah, well, I don't have his records, but I have listened to his
The
records.
chicken heart and the
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom. Or
Or his wife giving birth. Ooh, push. You remember? Did you ever see that one?
Or the bottle cap. I'm going to be the bottle cap.
Yeah.
No. You got to be the thumbtack. Oh,
It's
yeah.
a shame about Bill Cosby because one of my favorite cartoons growing up was Fat Albert.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I wasn't a big fan. I mean, it was
I was
good
a big
music,
fan.
but
No, I was a big fan.
yeah. But it was amazing he did every single character.
All
on
the
that
voices.
show.
And so it's a shame about him.
And
But
he's never been repeated. No other comedian's been able to achieve that level of, have your own show where you do all your own stuff. Records, movies. No one else has been able to do that.
well,
Who else?
Eddie Murphy's kind of done
But he hasn't had a cartoon. He didn't have his own cartoon where he did
Right.
every single voice.
No, he didn't have that. He didn't have that. But, we're going to miss both Bob Saget and Sidney Poitier.
And Betty White, by the way. You must be
I'm distraught.
I know. To find out.
I know. We were
Betty's
moving forward.
gone. I mean,
So,
come pie in memory of Betty White.
yes. So, less of Hollywood news. I wanted to talk more about some interesting stuff we've been watching on streaming lately. So, if you saw in one of our recent top 8 lists, we talked about the top 8 TV shows, and I mentioned a show called Black Summer as a runner-up, and you said that sounds pretty interesting, right?
Right. Zombie show.
A zombie
Although
show.
I think we've had our fill of. At the time, I had my fill of zombie shows. Fear the Walking Dead. The Walking Dead.
Z
It's
Nation.
kind of like giving them a I'm getting a little tired here. And yes.
So then what happens? You go and decide, I'm going to watch the first episode of Black Summer, see what this is about.
Well, this happened with Game of Thrones, too. Because Game of Thrones, I'm like, I'm not watching any more of these Arthurian legend things. And then, of course, in pure JR fashion, just watch the first 15 minutes.
Right? So what happens? You watch Black Summer and you're hooked in 15 minutes?
Finished like the first season in like 2 days. And then I'm like, not done with the second, but I'm very close. Because it is an intense show. And
I told you, right?
Anyone who loves zombie shows, I mean, we're going to do a special future segment on zombie movies, shows, and everything like that. So I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but yeah, I mean, great show, high drama. You're going to be on the seat.
But Dave, I told you, I said, this is a little bit different than Walking Dead in a certain ways, the way it's filmed and kind of what the storyline is. But I said this is more horrifying than Walking Dead. Do you feel that way? Or do you feel the same?
It's more high. You're on the seat of your pants. You're literally like, what's going to happen kind of thing. Whereas, probably the early days of Walking Dead was like that. I mean, and I don't want to go into like specifics, but I mean, you were literally like waiting like breathlessly. What is going to happen? Who's going to come out? And there's a lot of like drama jumping around. I mean, and it's basically like the apocalypse has happened and you're seeing it in real time.
So Dane, because you were watching Black Summer, I decided to kind of research other zombie genre shows. And I had seen some talk on YouTube and out there on social media about a show called The Kingdom. And it's on Netflix also. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to watch one episode of this, right? And what it is, it's a Korean TV show. Man, what's up with all these Korean shows, right? They're making some great...
What's up? I know.
Great TV shows.
So is it subtitled or is it...
No, you can watch it subtitled if you want, but like Squid Game, it naturally comes already dubbed in English. So I just kept it that way. So I started watching... I watched the first episode, and I will be honest, it was about a 50-minute episode, and the first 35 minutes of it were really long and boring because they're setting it up. They're setting up who the crown prince is and what his relationship is to his father, the king. He's banished from the kingdom for a certain reason, and they're just setting up all these like feudal Korean, I know.
It's like, just get into it.
Yeah, because it's in
get
feudal,
into the action.
It is in feudal Korea. It's not in modern day Korea.
So what's like the most modern machine they have?
Well, they do have some muskets, kind of like one-shot muskets, or they've got to load them.
So this is like Marco Polo, very...
Yeah, it's like in the 1500s, I would say.
Okay.
Late 1400s, 1500s.
And it's in the Korean peninsula?
It's in Korea, yes. Okay. And they talk about how the Japanese are invading, and I won't even... So a zombie outbreak happens during
a zombie outbreak?
Yes. And I don't want to get into it, but it was used against the Japanese to drive them away. And it just got out of control.
Oh, and, that sounds very familiar.
It was, I tell you what though, so I was saying in first episode, very boring. And then in the last 15 minutes when the zombies appear and it's becoming uncontrollable, it's very exciting and it leaves on a huge high. Whenever you go to episode 2 and on up to 6, there's 6 episodes per season and there's 2 seasons. From episode 2 through 6, edge of your seat the whole way through.
Oh, well,
it's an amazing TV show.
I got so many things I got to finish, but after I finished Black Summer, it's definitely... there was another show, 000, that somebody recommended to me. But I'm going to jump into Kingdom. We might have to do a 000 review of episodes, because it sounds pretty kick-ass.
There's a lot of zombie genre going on, like in the past 5 years, and from both movies and TV shows. I watched one last summer called Reality Z. It's Brazilian and it's in Portuguese, subtitled in English. But what happened was it's a reality show, kind of like Big Brother, where they have all these reality stars like locked in a house and they're supposed to vote each other off. Well, while they're locked in a house in Rio de Janeiro, zombie outbreak takes place, just swarming the city, and all these contestants are in this house and they have no idea what's going on outside because they're still doing their reality show.
So you mean it's like a show in a show?
It's a show within a show, and they're still doing their reality show. Like, well,
That's hilarious.
Evan, I think he just wants to sleep with me. And meanwhile, people are dying outside, buildings are burning down, and they're still going on with their reality show.
Right.
And then finally, they're like, the producers haven't showed up in a few days, and where's the food at, and all this stuff. You know what I mean?
They're like locked.
Yeah, they're locked in this house until they vote each other out.
That's a great concept.
It was hilarious and cool at the same time.
Oh, okay.
But it's another zombie genre from a different part of the world that, once again, adds to this genre. So there's a lot for us. We're going to do a zombie-related TV show just talking about the zombie genre in the future.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were talking about, separate kind of vignette videos, not really episodic movie reviews. But
Right, yeah. We released our Star Wars one at this point, and hopefully it got a lot of subscriptions.
Yeah.
But we're going to go into the zombie realm next.
Yeah. What?
Movies, TV shows, and you need to serve me, sir.
Oh my gosh.
What are we talking about while you're serving me?
I think you've been overserved here.
What are we talking about while you're talking too much?
I know.
Where's your brother when we need him?
I know.
Drink that sake.
All right, for my brother. So as far as other things we've been watching, I understand you recently did a Harry Potter marathon with your wife.
Yeah. Now, it's funny because we talked about Christmas movies previously, and even though Harry Potter is considered more wizardry, and I don't even know if I didn't actually read the book, so I don't know if
You didn't read the book?
No, did not read the books.
All right.
My son didn't read it. Well, he read some of them, but just like you, he's not a reader. He likes comic books. He kind of is like more into he's a YouTuber.
Okay. Yeah.
But Harry Potter seems to be the perfect thing to do over Christmas, and especially with Omicron and all these other variants flying around. Everyone's New Year's Eve's plans got canceled. We basically said, let's just sit down and watch all the Harry Potter movies in a back-to-back, sequentially through the days. So we did that, and then we Did you watch
the reunion?
Yeah, we watched the reunion too.
Okay.
It was good.
That
was what we were working towards, that reunion. They did a good job with that. I mean, they missed a couple of people, and you watched the reunion, I'm assuming.
I watched almost all of it.
Yeah, right. So it was
I
great.
fell asleep at the end for some reason. I don't know.
But it was great. I mean, I thought they did such a, all the movies. I got to give, kudos to the producer, because it's the same producer through all of them. He made fun of
Christopher Columbus? Was
that's
he
the director.
Oh,
He did the first
okay.
two, by the way.
Yeah.
And then they brought, I can't pronounce the guy's name. It's like a very Spanish-sounding name. And there was a British guy, and then there was a Spanish guy. And every single movie got, kids, middle-aged teenagers to like more an adult type thing, and it's probably never going to get repeated again. Where
Harry Potter is dead.
Right.
That's my favorite scene.
Harry Potter is dead!
And everybody's laughing, and Harry Potter's
Right.
dead. Harry Potter is dead.
I know. Ralph Fiennes must have loved that role, because God, does he get to play the evil guy.
Yeah.
But, going into, we finished that, and so then we decided to start the Beatles documentary. So that one we just finished last night.
You did finish it?
Finally.
Did you really finish it?
12:45 last night.
Okay, because
we were like, we're not like going to go another
we've been
night.
talking about the Beatles Get Back documentary on it. It's a great documentary.
Yeah.
But the thing that I wanted to point out to you when you finished it, when they finally get to do their rooftop concert, they have people like videotaping down on the street level. All these people are like looking up. They can hear them.
Cameras,
They can hear them.
No one in the street had any idea
Yeah.
this was getting done. They just walked out there and started playing.
So, but what cracked me up is most of the young people, they said, do you know who that is singing? They're like, oh, that sounds like the Beatles. And
Right.
I think that's Paul McCartney. That's his voice, definitely. But they asked some like older like women, and they're like, I don't know who that is. And they're like,
Right.
It's the Beatles. Do you know who the Beatles are? I was surprised, and I shouldn't be surprised. But I would think that everybody in the 60s,
especially in the UK.
In the UK would know who the freaking Beatles are. But they're like, no, not really.
I have never heard of the Beatles.
But you know what? Then it made me think about who is the top hottest artist right now. Would it be like Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, right? If you were to walk around Chicago and say, do you know who Taylor Swift is, or can you name some of her songs? There'd be a lot of people that would know that. But you would find people that would go, no, not really.
Yeah, but that's a totally different thing. I mean, that's the beauty of the Beatles. They appeal to so many different ages.
But you know what?
And
There's
remember,
people
UK
that
is like the size of the state of New York. I mean, it's not like
they still didn't know who the Beatles were, though. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. They didn't know who they were. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, so I thought that was a great. Smart directive move that guy put cameras all over. And then he puts a camera in the lobby.
Yeah.
Because he knew
because all the
cops
police were going to come in.
And so my wife was just telling me this morning, the cop that walked in, those two younger cops that were in the front.
That were like you wanted to slap them across the face.
Right. But yet they were so politely hanging out. That cop has now been interviewed, and he said, if I knew then what I know now, I would not have interrupted that whole scenario.
Of course, because nobody knew at that moment that would be the last time the Beatles ever performed in the public.
Right.
They didn't know that. The Beatles didn't know that. The Beatles probably thought they were going to do some other shows at that time.
Right.
But it never happened again.
And that's the weird thing about that documentary, too, and to what you're touching on is because, it was released as the last record of all the Beatles stuff. And so a lot of people, to your point, were like, oh, well, they should have known that was their last one. But it was actually done 2 records prior.
Right. We talked about this yesterday.
Album and the Abbey Road were done, and you can hear elements of both of those records kind of being developed during the the Let It Be sessions.
Right.
And so and that's the beauty of this documentary is that, as you have touched on, you could hear once in a while little riffs or little takes on future songs that show up on other albums.
We had lunch yesterday. Then we went to some comic book shops, right? Remember? So
comic book shops.
So in the car, we were discussing how it was awesome to see songs that you've heard hundreds of times your whole life, from the time you could remember music.
Your parents were listening.
And your parents were listening to this, but you were watching the genesis of these songs, for the very first time, and like Paul would say, all right, Jojo da da da, and he would actually say da 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 because he had no words yet. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh,
He's just getting down like
he's got the tune,
the melody,
music,
the rhythm, and he knows that he wants to talk about JoJo. But he's got that far, but he didn't even know the last name for JoJo at the time.
Right.
And they were going through different last names. This should be Johnson or Jackson. There was other names they had. It was so funny.
And it's Tucson in Arizona? You sure about that? That's what John asked, right? He's like, Tucson's in Arizona?
And then when Ringo was coming up with his song, Octopus's Garden, he's playing it and singing it. And George goes, hey, that sounds pretty cool. Let me step in. And then he starts helping him out. And then they're halfway through this, and then John and Paul walk in while they're playing Octopus's Garden, and they kind of listen to it, and they go, and they walk on. Like they were so uninterested in that song. You know what I mean? Like when they walked in, because they're like, hey, listen to this song we got going on. And they kind of go, and then they walk on.
Keep going. I know. There was definitely, John and Paul had their thing. And like, you guys can maybe once in a while be able to bubble up to the top of the cream.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up was, it's kind of funny because since we put out this channel and we're putting out shows, I have several friends now that I never really have talked much to in the past 20, 30 years, but now all of a sudden, they're texting me a lot more because they're watching our shows.
Really?
Yeah, and
Thank you.
And I've even got friends that barely watch our channel. They've seen it a couple times, but they want to text me with ideas. Oh, hey, I got an idea for your channel. But they probably watch
ZZ Top beards. Should we do that?
But I had 3 or 4 people text me, hey, have you guys seen Peacemaker yet? Are you going to review Peacemaker? And I was like, Peacemaker. I've got to go see what is Peacemaker again. And
that was a George Clooney movie.
Yeah, it was
right? Wasn't it
with
Peacemaker?
Nicole Kidman.
I know, it was a great movie.
It was a really good movie.
See it. Peacemaker with George Clooney, great movie.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman too.
20-second review, very good movie. We recommend. Go watch it. Okay, so
So Peacemaker on TV, it's on what channel? HBO,
HBO
right?
Max, and what it is, it's John Cena, who we saw recently a sign for.
No, not The Rock?
No, we saw him. Actually, we didn't see him, but that's his thing.
No.
He goes, you can't see me or whatever. But anyways, yeah, we'll put a little clip of that in there for you. But anyways, John Cena, who was in Suicide Squad as Peacemaker, has his own TV show.
The new Suicide Squad. I didn't see the second one.
And it's actually based on a DC character.
Yeah.
So I decided I'd watch one episode, and I have to say I laughed pretty hard, but this is not for everybody. It is so un-PC. I mean, I
haven't seen it.
They're like literally joking about how he's making racial jokes. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and all kinds of jokes. There's nudity, a lot of bad language. This is the anti-Disney Plus superhero show.
Except it's on HBO Max.
I said the anti-Disney Plus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I wanted to be clear because some people might hear that and think it's on Disney.
Oh, it's the anti-Disney Plus.
Anti-Disney Plus.
Disney Plus is having an issue right now. With like Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
They want to make him a lovable hero.
I know.
He's a ruthless killer.
I know. I mean, like, come on.
I know.
And with the jokiness.
I'm having a little issue. I mean, I love Boba Fett. He is probably one of my favorite characters out of Star Wars. And at the end of Mandalorian, how he took care of Bib Fortuna, that's how he should be all the time.
Right.
And now it's a little jokey.
Disney, you got to give the serious dramatic killer instinct to the characters. You can't go out and make everyone so friendly.
Disney has already said they will never air a rated R show on Disney Plus. So
have they?
Yes.
So what are they going to do? Have a Disney negative for the R shows? Disney After Dark?
Disney After Dark.
I don't know. Our After Dark episode, by the way.
Yeah. So I have no idea, but
John Cena, this show, you liked it? You saw all 3 episodes?
No, I saw just one.
Okay.
I laughed.
Because my son watched all 3 of them last night.
Oh, and you haven't seen it?
All right.
You let your 17-year-old teenager.
I probably should have said no,
yeah,
but it was a little late at that point.
You didn't know what's going on.
Everything's so accessible these days.
It is. Well, yeah. Well, that could be a whole discussion on itself. Well, I tell you what, that's kind of the Hollywood news we wanted to chat about, and a little bit about what we're streaming. But I'm excited to talk this week about The Matrix. And
Resurrection.
Resurrections. We do have to be clear.
Because unfortunately, this one is confusing because it's The Matrix Resurrections. Almost like they don't put them together.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to talking about that, but in order for you to see that review, you'll have to come back for Act 2 and then Act 3.
Mm-hmm. Of The Matrix Resurrection Week?
Yep.
Come pie!